Well, everyone, great to see you again. I get always the best panels every time, and it's great that you just went before so I could catch up, because I couldn't find you. I had all these questions for you. So let's dig in. In the past years, we've always come here and we've always talked about Estonia, but most people here, there's more people here not from Estonia. Maybe not this room. What was your survey? You did the survey.
Two-thirds were, I think, not from Estonia. Maybe 1/3 was Estonian. It seemed like it.
That's a great poll. That's a great poll. And so we're all considering, we're wondering, do we want to come here? Do we want to do business here? Or do we just want to come here to party every year? And, these are a little both?
A little both.
Yeah. So we have, the weather, I've been working on that. We're trying doing this in May. So it's considering that it's April, and, we want to decide, do we want to come here? And you need to do the e-residency. You have to sign up, right? But we're also comparing for a lot of reasons. And many times in the high-tech world, it has to do with regulations. Can I do this? Am I going to get shut down? Is he going to shut us down? Is Mati's going to shut me down? Are you going to be the next one to get shut down? No. And hopefully you are. But no, so we have to see, what are the rules? So you have great innovative companies are really at the edge of the rules. So you have a great panel here, and so I wanted to just dig in. Are some of the comparisons is it going to fly here? Or is it not going to fly here? So, Matisse, welcome. I wanted to ask you, what's it been like? I just read your yearbook. So just over the past, so this is your first year at full staff. So what's that been like staffing up for your vision?
First of all, thank you for inviting me here. It's very nice to be here. I was here like 2 years ago, I think. And it's now been a third year for me regulating virtual asset service providers. But as it seems, I haven't learned anything because I'm still overdressed or underdressed for you guys. So I don't have my sweater with me. Yes, it's been the first complete year us being fully staffed. But in reality, our focus has shifted from virtual asset service providers to other sectors, to other topics. And we have done a huge work. When we started and the new law came about, we had altogether around 1,100 different proceedings, not only with VASPs, but with other sectors as well. And we have now completed it, and we are now down to 48 VASPs. So it's a different landscape than it was when I became the head of FIU. A different landscape, but from the risk profile, it's a lot better. Volume-wise, it's the same. When I started, 20 billion euros around that we mediate through Estonia, but it's cleaner, I guess. But we are now conducting our on-site inspections, and as I was walking through the corridor this morning, I was asking one of my employees, so I'm entering the stage today, so what is the message that you would like me to give the audience? And he or she, I don't want even to mention who the person was, he or she said that we went to an on-site inspection, we might need to close that business down. But anyway, that's not too bad to be invest more rigor to, and still some service providers that we need to be invest more rigor to, and to see what they're actually doing.
It's great to see you in this new mode. Meeting you 2 years ago when you were just come into the role for a year, it was just shutdown mode, 90% shutdown or more. But it's a different mode, like you said, and I see your advocacy for your presentation of recommending new laws, right? So you're looking forward to, you said it. I'm quoting you. Don't be confused. You want real-time data you want the government to require real-time data, and you said that if we're just looking at the reports that they're giving us, the criminals already left. So you want to stop the criminals before you find them. You're recommending jail time.
Exactly, but we were not, it wasn't the idea that to shut down everyone. It wasn't the idea, it was just what we had in our books. Basically, I was writing this in the yearbook as well. We had 641 VASPs when I entered the building, and we had around 95% of them about whom we had at least one negative element, information about negativity of that entity, whether it laundered money, it financed terrorism. So it was we were in a pretty bad shape back then.
Justified.
And
for your role,
I think it was really justified what we were doing. And the contacts that we had with the market, the first contact that we had, the company was gone. So it wasn't like this that they really wanted to cooperate with us and be in the market. They just had acquired the license, and when the real supervision began, they were off because they didn't want to deal with the supervisor. They just wanted to do the bad business through Estonia, and I'm sure that we don't want these companies. I didn't want those companies, and they are off now.
So thank you for raising the bar, and the other countries see that, and they can aspire to this.
We have 7 other EU countries that have approached us to ask from us, how did we do this? How did we clean the market? And we are going now, making rounds, helping other supervisors, new supervisors that will be the supervisors when Mäeker comes in or Mika comes in, but also those that have been there right now. So it's a great, from us, it's a great pleasure, because we want to show them how we did this. We are proud of it.
I'm going to ask you about MONEYVAL on the next round. But so in the United States, one of the major regulations is from the IRS, from the taxes. Everybody knows the taxes, they file the taxes, and they want to avoid the taxes, and they structure around the taxes. And the way that their telemetry works is you get one report at the end of the year. They're PDF files, your favorite files, and per transaction. Every crypto asset you buy or sell is one PDF file at the end of the year. Coinbase or anybody will have to give you the file, and there's a negotiation on which things are reportable. And you get it at the end of the year. There's zero interest in counterterrorism. There's zero interest in money laundering. And we have a registry. If you're making any type of a platform, you need to prevent sending money to Tornado Cash or some registered terrorist. There's only 100 registered addresses. So there's not even a major thing. And they update it like once a year. So if they would just move it from that address to a different address, it would not hit your system. That is about how sophisticated America is. Could you compare a little bit to that?
Yeah, we are a bit more sophisticated. No, we will, I mean, I've told many that actually what I like about blockchain, about virtual asset service providers, I think if we get rid of the anonymity there, if we know who is behind all the wallets, money laundering would be more harder to do, because we can go back to see each and every transaction that happened. With banks, it's really difficult, because if I want to know who sent me 10 euros, I need to go to another jurisdiction, and then I think at the end of the year, I will find out where the money was coming from. On a blockchain, I can do this within 5 minutes. So technically, I'm supportive of the blockchain and VASPs, but I'm not supportive of the launderers that we have there right now. If we could clean up the market, and it's not about cleaning here in Estonia, and this is something that I'm saying in actually the FATF community, is that we need to apply the same rigor everywhere, because if I'm kicking the VASPs out, they will go to Lithuania, then to Poland, then to Czech Republic. So what are we gaining from it? So this is the bad thing. But yes, I think that we are better than the US in that regard.
Yeah, and it's easy to be better than that. Raido, welcome. We had a talk in the back about different types of regulation. First, let me just hear your complaint about GDPR. I mean, we all hate it as consumers. Can you just share that?
Do we have time for that? I think everybody here knows that GDPR is something it was meant to protect our privacy. None of us needs, even if it was meant to protect our privacy. Only thing we get from this is that you have one extra click, and probably even 2. And especially I love those who say customize cookies. Never did actually. Always I accept, because let me get to the content I want to read. And especially if you have slow internet, it's very enjoyable. We all do it. This is for our good. Thank you. Much GDPR, actually it's not the GDPR with the culprit. There are smart people behind it who are really doing their best to earn their salary, and meanwhile do bad things with our brains. So GDPR means General Data Protection Act, and this is a very good sample of that they meant good, but they executed as always. So here we are. So yeah, I'm absolutely sure, and I agree with what Matti said in the end here, that if we get rid of the anonymity, then we will have a completely different world, not only money laundering wise, but actually then the blockchain industry can really blossom and do things what are possible with this technology. And I've been in blockchain conferences since 2018, and I remember that when our company Swapin.com, when I used to be a board member and a partner, we were the first company in Estonia who established, or we implemented KYC in a level that we needed more than email address. And we lost 60% of our customers, because during those times when you were in the conference and they asked, do you do KYC? Because it was a horrible acronym everybody knew already. And we said, yes, of course. And we do it for your protection. It sounds like GDPR, I know, but actually we did it for their own protection, because anonymity is something I think human society is not ready yet. Probably will never be, because we all love the idea that I will hide my profits or nobody knows who I am, but it comes with the responsibility that you have to accept that the counterparty does the same. And if people lose their money in crypto scams, where crypto is just the entering point, there is nothing to do with crypto, it's just a regular pyramid scheme, and people lose their money, they don't accept it as they should. Oh, my bad. First, police! And what police can do? Nothing. So anonymity is something what is very useful and to do anything bad. But regular people who don't want to do anything bad, they actually need privacy. And GDPR doesn't give us privacy. Privacy is something which is stolen from us with those 3 letters, KYC. Because we have it really, and just recently there was an incident when in Estonia personal data of 700,000 people were stolen from one pharmacy database. 700,000, it makes like basically every adult citizen of Estonia. So they all have given out their personal data up to addresses, and it was stolen. So we are doing something very wrong, and actually I think that for pharmacy to know that to serve me, they actually don't need to know who I am. They need to know that I have some certain rights to buy some special drugs maybe, but they don't need to know anything else. KYC, know your customers, is something what public sector had put the duties of their own for the private sector, because they are not capable to provide public service. And no offense, but that's the fact in reality, that this is impossible today because of this anonymity problem. And so we put this duty to private sector, and we make them to collect information, know your customer, but actually I don't need to know my customer to provide a service. I need to know that he has some email address I can contact him if something goes wrong with transaction. And I need to know that he has money to pay me. That's it. This is business. But of course, in this world where we're living, there must be a possibility for public sector to provide public service. And they have no means to collect this information because email address is not enough. We have so many scams where even with the better and the best intention, police or international police forces, they are not able to get those scammers because it's just impossible. So KYC means that we are in the time today where this is the best solution, but this is, of course, one of the worst. But this is the best we have at the moment. And in the near future, I hope that we will have tools that KYC will go back to the public sector, and private sector can do business without having to know with whom they are having this business.
This is going too far, but okay.
In the US, when we go on a website and we get the cookie pop-up, that just means it's a European website. Or California. And California will tell us this website is also cancerous. Everything's cancerous. So this is a distinction too. And the fact that you're even thinking that KYC should be done by a government is very forward.
No. It's like KYC is something that's supposed to be built in the process the way that everybody have their digital identity, which is provided by government. So government already knows who you are. They don't need to know because they already do know. So, and they have to have such identifiers that if they need to come and hold someone responsible, then they know where to go. They don't have to go to the business and ask, who was this guy?
Can I add here? I think this is one of the biggest problems that we see, for example, right now here in Estonia with WASPs, that they think that the only KYC is that to know who the customer is. But for us, is the transaction, the analysis of transactions is more important. I don't know by heart how many SDRs we receive on transactions, but it's really low because they don't identify unusual behavior. They just identify poor identity documents or that are frauded identity documents. But this is not something that we want. We want to see the unusual activity, the patterns, the transactions. And this is what we are missing right now, I think, globally. And another thing is we are talking about KYC, KYT, but you can offer services right now without the license, without the legal entity. I mean, how is this important? We know about this Estonian startup Garantex, right? So who launders, finances terrorism, finances war, is under the Russian FSB influence, but they are offering services without the legal entity. And this is beyond me, how this is possible. And this is for all of you guys. I mean, how do you allow this kind of behavior? If I were to be a correspondent service provider, like, I don't know, Binance or whoever, I would foresee that the entity that I'm providing services to has a license. Otherwise, how should I provide even service to it? So we are a bit too far with the regular CDD obligations, and we are not dealing yet with the primary stuff. And this goes to the customers as well. I don't know, why should I take services from a service provider that doesn't have a license? Would you go to a bank that doesn't have a license? Would you provide your assets to this company? No.
Would you go to dentist without license?
No. I will have a headache. I will have a toothache.
You will be dead, probably.
I like what you're saying. If wait to the end of the year or the month, right? For banks, the transactions immediately to you. You don't have to wait to the end of the year or the month, right? For banks, right? You get that immediately.
Of course.
Yeah. But
we had the CPAP system that came in. I think 10 years ago we had every minute the transaction went through. Then we had the SEPA system coming from the EU, and then we could only make transactions every 3 or 4 hours. So this was innovation coming from the EU.
So right now it's not even a suspicious transaction. It's suspicious to you, but for them it's just, it goes to you. Everything goes to you. But for the VSP, there has to be a threshold or they notify you immediately. Oh, we think this is suspicious. This is old. They should just send you everything and you should decide.
No, why?
No, you just said that.
No,
you just said that it's suspicious.
But you shouldn't outsource your obligations to the government. This was what Raido was saying.
No. I said almost, like knowing the customer, yes, but knowing the transaction, don't worry about that part. This is very easy because AI will start to predict already suspicious. Predict.
Oh, you're outsourcing it to America now.
To NVIDIA.
Maybe. So those problems will be solved. And I hope not too well.
No, but we need to survive until then as well. I mean, we are talking about AI for 2 years now, and really, yes. I mean, what AI are we getting at?
what we will see for the end of this year will make you all cry, not laugh, actually, because AI is not doing only good things. So that's why is one reason why we do need digital identity, which is universal and global, because we must distinguish machine from human.
We haven't seen with Raido for a couple of months now, so that's why we are interacting so much. But perhaps we can allow our
There's some tension between you guys.
No, it's a good tension.
Good chemistry. Yeah. So Ülane, let me ask you. I saw your presentation and your first slide with all of the numbers. You said,
It was just meant as a joke.
Oh, it was a joke? Because I read those numbers.
You did.
Most of the benefits accrued mostly to local businesses, like healthcare does not apply to me. There's no Zoom healthcare, is there?
Yeah, a lot of these numbers are just kind of let's say a show off of our digital society, of how digital we are. Where do we score really well? But like I said, like I don't think any of you should care. You should care about like what it actually means for you. You know, whether you have the opportunities and the community that supports you to build an innovative business.
I love the community. I love the aspect of the number of companies and getting beers with founders is obviously why a lot of people show up, which is in person still. So what I wanted to ask you is what type of industries are actually doing business from abroad? I guess COVID would be a great case study for that.
COVID didn't have a real big impact on e-residency. There was a kind of a slowdown during COVID, like with everything, and then just kind of popped back up, and so it didn't really change the picture that much.
But I mean the people that could not travel that still decided to.
Yeah, but it didn't also boost our sales terribly, because people were sitting at home. The typical industries are still digital services as a whole. So let's say there's a big number of people who are offering digital services as either freelancers or consultants or just doing it on their own. So there's a lot of very small players. But there are also a lot of tech companies that we can now say that one of the 11 unicorns is actually an e-resident company. Glia. So we take pride in that we have 11 unicorns and we have the first e-resident company among those as well. And I think in the startup sector, the combination of startup visa, e-residency, and the local ecosystem is something that has a really nice kind of offering altogether, because you can also you start up here, but you could also bring people here with the startup visa to work in your company. So the tech industry really benefits. In the startup database of Estonia, 37% of the companies have an e-resident founder. So the overlap there is really good.
Are you finding that you're sucking in from the Schengen area, the people that are around, or are you pulling in from other regions where the visa is important too?
So when e-residency program was started, we thought that this would be really appealing for the non-EU people, and we have actually more than we have just about the same. But I think it's leaning now more towards EU because these are our main target markets. But we have a lot of people from Germany, Spain, France, so Italy as well. These good old European countries where bureaucracy is quite heavy. And entrepreneurship is something of the rich, something who already was born rich, so they can deal with it, but you don't have a lot of new blood coming in.
I feel like the benefit, and I feel like that your region is very well connected physically, the trains, the languages. I mean, here there's 7 languages in this room already, so they have a lot of choices of where they could go. I feel like the main benefit you're talking about is the ease, more so than the restrictions at home. Just it's so simple. You're showing us how cheap it is, how fast it is, how e-signy it is. That's great. And is that the main thing for local people?
Why don't we go to Latvia?
That's what I'm saying. It's so your competition is Latvia.
I'm just kidding. No, Estonians. I don't think we experience some of those services. We complain about, I don't know, we still complain about our public services. We complain about, I don't know,
we are Estonians. We complain
Estonians.
about
we
everything.
Complain, period, right? So, I mean, we still complain about our public services, but just imagine a Spanish startup founder, before they register a limited liability company, they start building their startup as an autonomo, which is a freelancer scheme, because it's so complicated to register a limited liability company. But how do you manage that? How do you manage the relationships of the shareholders or the founding team? Like how do you do that when you're all just autonomous?
They
like,
use handshakes.
this is handshakes, exactly. Like so, it's like for Estonians, it doesn't compute because starting a company is really something anyone can do. And
you've told us where you do your.
I have one since 2008. So it's just something that you do. Everybody has one. Mattis, do you have one?
You looked it up, you know it.
Yeah.
But I'm about to liquidate it, so.
Yes,
But
but
I had to have this because I have written a book, so why I had to sell it, I had to have a company too. So that's why I made this.
But you asked if we complain about our e-government. Yes, of course. For example, last time I really was angry because I had to wait for the confirmation signal to my phone for 10 seconds. Can you believe it?
Well,
But
you
when
said the cookie pop-up was 5 seconds.
yeah, also bad. So, but then I comfort myself that okay, but comparing with going out, sit into my car, driving to the office, and standing in the line, okay, 10 seconds I can survive.
The last time I went to a government office, I remember, it was when I started my first company. And back then you couldn't get a VAT number in the process of registration yet. So you actually had to go to end the street where tax board used to be. And you had to actually get it there. So that was the last time I ever visited a government office as an entrepreneur.
So for other regions, people coming from Africa or Asia or the United States, do they find it convenient, or are they avoiding like a lower tax regime?
So you can only take full advantage of our tax regime if you really build substance here as well. So as you, like maybe a lot of you know, the way the international tax rules work is that if you live in the United States, your team is in the United States, but you just simply have a shell company in Estonia, then like US will still say that your company has permanent establishment in the US, like you basically need to pay taxes there. So it's about building substance in Estonia, and we hope that we have a little more to offer than just like the ease of registering. I think we have the whole system streamlined in a way that actually makes for a pretty nice place to have, plus the opportunities, like I said.
Well, the opportunities are what they are. So people that are freelancing, they'll decide, where do I want to register? And you get enough of those deals with government or deals from anywhere, and you're like, I should register a company. It's time. And so you have to make a decision. Am I going to do it in Delaware? Am I going to do it in Latvia? Am I going to do it in Estonia? Am I going to do it?
Don't compare Delaware with Estonia, please.
So you just have to make these business decisions, and then I feel like that people aren't like, oh, I'm going to start a business in Estonia because there's a large network. No, you have the business plan first. So what is actually sucking the people in with the existing business, not the freelancer?
I think it's just the country you want to tie yourself with has a big role in it as well. And I mean, obviously we have, Mattis here from the regulator side, but I think Estonia is, as a country, approachable for a business owner. The tax board's approachable, even the regulator's approachable to a certain extent. And I think it's a thing of a small country where like you have the connections and the human touch. So paperless doesn't mean personless. So there's actually like a relationship to be had with the state.
That's what I love to hear, for sure. All right, Mattis, I promised you a heavy-hitting topic. So could you tell us about MONEYVAL?
I can.
Yeah, this is a regional initiative. It's about sharing information and best practices across how many countries around here?
It's actually a regional body of the Financial Action Task Force that creates the global money laundering and terrorism financing standards. So it's not like a club or something that really you have to belong there, otherwise you're put to grey list. So we don't just share best practices, actually we evaluate each other, how we're doing vis-a-vis the money laundering rules that are out there.
And so you just got voted to vice chair. Congrats on this. And it seems that some maybe part of the reason, or just I don't know why, but like there are things in Estonia that are better than the other countries are doing. Do you feel like some of the practices here are going to spread?
I mean, what I've been told a lot is that after our evaluation that we had a couple of years ago, now each and every evaluation is looking to WASPs. But what I'm seeing is actually no one understands this, really, how to supervise them, how to regulate them. They are all blindness. So we had a report from one of the MONEYVAL jurisdictions, I'm not allowed to say which one, but the discussion was that the country said that they have no WASPs. And I told to myself that it's not possible. Every country has a WASP. I'm sure of it. I asked one of my employees to look into it. He made a 5-minute examination, and he found 12 WASPs, actually off-ramps. And this country was pretty close to some of the very high terror financing or terror countries. Conflict. Someone comes to you, takes the cash, assets there. Someone comes to you, takes the cash, and gives you bitcoins, or vice versa. You have bitcoins, they will bring you cash. You will cross the border and you will provide to a terrorist. But the evaluation team said that no, there are no WASPs. So we had a very hard discussion there. I was all alone there, and no one else understood what the issue was. And they said the off-ramps and the on-ramps are the worst in that circumstance or scenarios, especially if you have the high risk, high terrorism financing risk nearby. But no one understood this. So this is where Estonia is actually up front there, and we are telling to other countries that pick up the pace, that you are not doing very good work.
I think this illustrates Raido's point, is that this needs to be modular. You need to be able to try these new approaches in new regions. Some of the other countries like China, I'll say Russia, we don't talk about Russia, and the US, the approaches are very top down. They take years to implement. Their public policy is just, it takes 6 months of comment period.
And it's outdated before you actually implement it.
And so there was an IRS rule that was coming out for tax, and it came out in November, the public notice. And the rule is it has to take a year before it can go into effect. So industry thought, oh, well, if we just delay this until January, it'll take another year. So I gave them 50 pages of comments, and I was on stage and all these things. And unfortunately, they couldn't, there's 40,000 comments. So this round, and it's going to take them another year to go to another round. So it is just completely unusable, unfunctional. What you're saying, you're working as regulators. Are you also working with the legislative branches of any of the countries?
Usually the legislators are in that discussion. There are the FIUs usually, the Financial Intelligence Unit, the supervisors, and then the regulators, usually the people from the Ministry of Finance. But many of them, they are clueless what to do really. I mean, and they know it themselves too. And this is hard place for me, because they are not applying the same rigor as we are, and then we are being blamed, but other countries have the same issues. And this is what I'm talking with, not only with the FATF members, but also with the EU Commission, that really we need to start enforcing the rules. Until you're not enforcing the rules, it doesn't make any sense that you have the rules. For example, the travel rule. So globally, we have the travel rule. Each and every country should apply this, but no one applies this. And then an evaluation comes to Estonia and says, listen, you're not applying the travel rule. And we are saying, listen, we cannot apply the travel rule because the others are not applying the travel rule. And the others are not applying the travel rule because the others are not applying the travel rule. And then you are in a vicious circle, basically. No one applies the standard. And then we want to create new and new and new standards, but it's not helpful.
I think what you're doing is helpful, and it does take time. And the MONEYVAL, your participation there is the process. Getting the travel rule implemented requires everybody to agree. However, if EU had done it all together at once, you understanding it, you're spreading your influence country by country, and denominator didn't understand it yet. You're spreading your influence country by country, and that's the EU way, is member state by member state. And I think it's very innovative. when the states can do them at different speeds.
I would add here that as with MiCA and the upcoming regulations, there will be excessive reporting duties for CASPs, crypto asset service providers. And in Estonia, what Estonian Bank has now implemented, and this most of this information can be delivered digitally, like database, not information-based, right? And I don't even see how it's possible to deliver it on paper, for example. It's impossible. But if the system is not there, if there is no digital environment for communicating with your government, sorry guys, but you must come to Estonia because yes, our regulations are tougher probably already before MiCA, but at least your duty is what will be universally all across the European Union put on you, will be follow you everywhere. But here you can do it for waiting 10 seconds for the signal that you log in somewhere. Otherwise, you go with a truck full of papers and deliver it to the office. And actually, the other part is that I don't even imagine what the other part, what the regulator does with this paper load. Oh my God.
We will analyze this, don't worry.
Yeah, I know. You will have like ladies from
He's fully staffed,
analytics.
don't worry.
No ladies, men.
Okay, good.
Because the paper boxes are heavy.
Okay, yes, sure.
Any questions from the audience?
Questions from the audience? Oh, we need microphones too.
Hey, it's Asko Seba here from Moongasgate. Maybe this question is more to Matis. There were like discussions about the liabilities of those crypto companies and KYCs and stuff like that. But from the legislator perspective, what's the future? In the crypto world, we always also have to consider those kind of like distributed applications that kind of like that have the ability to operate without some kind of like a human entity to actually running it. And then from the legislator perspective, what's the future of like those stuff, like those distributed exchanges, lending platforms, distributed applications in general, also the DAOs, like how those things are in your position, in your picture when you kind of like look at everything.
Thank you for the question. I mean, it reminds me when 2 years ago I was here, a very interesting panel that we had, and all the questions were to me. And it was like my panel, so ask from other members too. But to answer this question, it's a really short answer. It is that the EU is actually regulating everything right now, so you should ask from them, because I don't have any idea what they are thinking about. They have regulated what they have, and they are talking about already a new regulation. So this is, at the end of the day, everything will be regulated, as is usual with everything. Sorry that it's a very high-level answer, but I don't know what is in the minds of the European Commission, actually.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Hello, thank you for the presentation. This question can be for all. What do you think what can be done in addition to increase the level of the communication between governmental authorities and market participants to even increase the collaborative approach in terms of the regulatory climate? Thank you.
The only thing what we have to do is we have to equip the governments with the tools that they can use to regulate the digital world. Law is not enough. Law will just pile up duties and nothing will, well, companies will not prosper because they have duties they are not capable of fulfilling in the end. And government has to hire people to dig through this information. But many things can today done already automatically, and we have to develop tools and help governments, because governments, I'm quite sure they want to have such tools. But one thing government can't do, never could and never will, is to make a tender for the proper digital tool, because to make a tender for that, you really must understand technical part, but they only know what they want. They don't know exactly how to order it, but in IT there is very clear rule: shut in, shut out. If the tender is built up not correctly, then what you get is not correct or unworking tool. And this is what we have to do, like a private sector, we have to do for helping governments. And then if the tool is good and standardized and works well, then they will use it, and that makes life easier for all of us.
But just to complement what you said, I think the organization that's ordering the tool still has to take ownership of the tool, otherwise it will not also work. It's we have a couple of public sector services or sites that have been built so that the organization doesn't take full ownership of it, and then it's also a kind of a.
Yeah, it can be solved with white labeling it to government, and give government one thing they want is to possess the information, and you have to allow this. But how information will be treated, this is important, and if we help with that, then the legislation will go easier for everybody.
To me, it's not about tools, it's about the quality of discussion, actually. And let me give you some examples. So we have 48 WASPs at the moment. At the end of April, each and every WASP has to submit a report to us. So only 30 WASPs have logged in, and we are at the end of April. So this is the question of whether you want to have a good relationship with the regulator or not. I have another example for you. We made an inquiry to one of the WASPs. We made a second inquiry because we didn't get an answer. We issued a penalty payment of 3,000 euros. And then the company woke up and said, listen, I don't want to pay the pecuniary penalty. And what do you want from me? I will do anything. So they are just waking up when the government starts issuing fines left and right. And this is not the quality that we are talking about. We are there all the time, but I haven't seen, I've told to one of the CEOs of one of our WASPs, listen, you have never come to me saying that I want to have a meeting with the head of FIU who is regulating me. None of the CEOs have ever come to me. And then we are talking about the quality of discussion. So it's not a one-sided way that I'm always asking some kind of information. It's them giving back to us as well. So they have now come to basically a financial sector, and they have to get used to that. They have a regulator with whom you need to discuss. You need to have an open relationship. When you are having tough times, you will tell to the regulator, listen, I've been hacked. Listen, I've failed with my KYC. I have an audit report it's really bad. Not to wait until we go to an onset inspection and realize that there are very bad things going on. And then the regulator starts we become a bit anxious. We think, why are you hiding things from us? How should we react? Should we issue a fine? Should we revoke your license? So this is what we have. And right now, I think from our end, we are trying our best to communicate with the market. We have the umbrella organizations. We had an offsite questionnaire to all the market participants. We went to them saying that, listen, we want to ask these questions. Would you be comfortable? Would your entities be comfortable with that questionnaire? We are open to delete some kind of questions, to add some questions, whatever makes it easier for you. But now we need to have a step forward from the other direction too.
Yes, and this is very true, because this is really effort what you are doing there, and this is the effort for the right direction. But mostly what entrepreneurs see when communicating with the against you.
No, but if you're honest, I'm not.
Thing you say will be used against you.
No, but if you're honest, I'm not going to fine you straight away. If you're saying that I have breached some laws, I say, okay.
I'm not saying
and you have a plan how to rectify the situation, I would say, okay, let's try a way. In some instances, of course, you have to pay a penalty too. If you drive 200 kilometers an hour on a very wonky road, of course I will fine you too. Yeah. But at least you're honest, then the fine will be lower.
Yes, but this is like the attitude from the old times, and I'm very happy that FIU is on a way to change it. Yes, but mostly it's very common, and not only in Estonia, that with government say as few you can.
Sander wants to kill the discussion.
No. I don't want to kill the discussion.
Time's up.
But I just wanted to add for those, because I had one person already asking what is VASP, and it's a virtual
Asset service provider.
as in those that are providing services within the crypto industry. Just so you would understand what they were discussing.
It's the FATF terminology. I mean, the EU is using CASP. I don't know why, but when
Crypto asset service provider, something new.
But I would love to give the last chance to ask the question by Max, and then let's see.
Yeah. Hi everyone. We are one of the VASPs or the CASPs who is logging in the system and have a plan. Yeah.
Hopefully.
So it's not us who decide, right? Mattis and Raido, maybe a bit of the philosophical question, and you might not reply if you don't feel like. On many of the payments events, not really crypto events, right, but where acquirers are gathering who serve different big organizations like Netflixes, Amazons, and Bolts, and so on, there is a discussion on whose responsibility to bring the KYC of the payer on the table. Acquirers usually say that issuers of the cards, they know the identities. When the transaction is going through the system of the Visa or Master, the acquirer or merchant, they don't receive a lot of the KYC just through transaction. But they also don't ask for the KYC, usually, right? If you use a Bolt as a taxi or you subscribe on the Netflix, right? You don't really do the KYC. And they don't need the KYC. So there is a discussion which started already in the real world, not really in the crypto, that maybe it's not so much of the payment provider issue, right? To know the KYC. They need to check the business, the nature of the business, to ask additional questions if transactions are weird, right? If the Netflix suddenly gets a transaction of $250,000, it's worth checking probably. What's your opinion? Should it be like on the business to control the KYC of the customers, or it is the responsibility of the payment provider?
None. There must be a solution that digital identity works the way that everything what we are doing behind those three letters is obsolete, because system must work so that information, what must be collected, not only by the person, but also by the transaction patterns. It's automatically collected and personalized, but even maybe anonymized, very beautiful word, for the business provider, but open for the regulatory part, so that we have to really change the digital and using digital identity, which gives such capabilities, and also connected to the transaction transparency and analysis and analytics with that. This is the way we have to go, and we will. And then I know why Mattis wants to stop me, but in the end, KYC has purpose. And the purpose is to make world safer and to cancel money laundering. Once I introduced to Mattis one tool we invented to kill the money laundering and tax evasion with one simple tool. Ministry of Finance loved it, FSA loved it. Mattis told me, yes, right, good, but there's one problem. Most of the transactions go across the border, and there is no such digital identity solution like we have in Estonia. And I said, okay, then I have to build identity.
E-residency compulsory for everyone in the world.
Yeah, we can help you too.
So you remember how he started, that I'm just killing all the business, so that's I killed Raido's business too.
No, you made me do a new one.
The real answer is it's a very technical one, but the standard says that you have to apply KYC and KYT or CDD to your customer with respect to your customer. So for a payment service provider, for the issuer, the customer is the card holder. For the merchant, from the other end, the entity getting the assets is also a customer. So both those parties need to apply CDD with respect to their customers. So from one end, the merchant, and the other end, the card holder. So everyone is being assessed. So I assess whether the owner of the card uses the card as it provided information to me. It said that I will have, I don't know, salary coming to the card, and I will use it only to pay my grocery bills, and then it will check whether it is doing it or not. The other side is looking whether it receives the amounts or for the purposes it said it will use the service. So each and every side applies CDD. So everyone is responsible in the scheme. Sorry for ending with very technical note, but I mean, we had a new generation coming in. Did you see a very young guy coming in? So this is the new generation starting to apply all the blockchain tools.
I will thank everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.